All right, let's dive in.
All right. So how can I put this nicely or nightly? Tony Rizzo is a buffoon.
Jesus.
Yesterday on his show, which is somehow still on the air.
How do you come up with that after you say, I'm going to put this nicely?
I don't know. But he doesn't deserve to be treated nicely, does he? We know what he's done.
I plead the fifth.
Oh, God.
He
Why did I have to
started rumors that teams are calling the Browns about trade offers.
For Shedeur Sanders.
For Shedeur Sanders.
You need to put that
which
in there.
I don't believe. Also, I was saying this morning, and I was for a time saying, okay, listen, if Deshaun Watson's found it again, play him, but I'm so far beyond that now. First of all, nobody's giving up anything for Shedeur Sanders because he hasn't proven anything in the league.
Correct.
Okay? And he was drafted. If he had been a first-round pick and hadn't proven anything, it was different. He was a later pick. Okay. Number two, if somebody offered a 6th or 7th round pick for him, I wouldn't even make that trade.
No.
Because I'd rather see him play and see if there's a chance he pans out than get a 6th or 7th round pick.
Could not agree more.
Nobody's giving up anything better than that. So what is the point of this? It's so stupid. And I got to say, like everything else in this country, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, people have taken to the extremes, and it's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
All right? He's not infallible. He's not perfect. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's got flaws in his game. He's also not the worst quarterback ever. Now, I know a lot was made of Jason bringing up, what was it, EPA or whatever.
I mean, it's more than that, but yes.
Whatever the stats were, okay? It's still a short sample size. Now, I've made it very clear that I'm not a huge believer in Shedeur Sanders. I think the odds are better than not that he's not going to be the answer at quarterback. But to say there's no chance is stupid. Mm-hmm. And to say there's and the other way, to make it seem like he's a sure thing is also stupid. It's ridiculous. That's where most people are, and most people are behaving stupidly with the Shedeur Sanders conversation. By the way, even though it's a good idea, seeing those cameras on their heads looks so stupid. Even though I get it, and it's a good idea, it just looks so dumb. But let's stop with this nonsense. Let's stop with the nonsense of trades that don't exist. Let's stop with the nonsense of playing Deshaun Watson, because it's the most idiotic thing ever. The Browns have had bad ownership forever. They have the worst owner in professional sports. Their GM, I'll give him a little credit, has done, at least on paper, a better job the last 2 years. Last year, a little more than paper, because the guys have played. This year on paper, I like what he's done mostly. But overall, in his tenure, he's done a bad job. They've mostly had bad coaches. And if they start Deshaun Watson there, continue to be as stupid an organization as you could possibly, because Deshaun Watson is absolute trash. He cannot play. He will never play at a high level ever again in the league. Anybody with a brain knows this, and so it'd be stupid for him to play. So let's stop with all this crapola. Let's see what the guy's got with better talent around him, and let him sink or swim. And if he can do it, good. I'm happy to say I was wrong that I thought there was a small percentage he'd be good. If he's good, Jason will be happy to say he was wrong, that he didn't think he could be good. I'm sure all of us will. And if it goes the other way, then everybody else needs to shut up too. But let's find out. Instead of doing all this other stupid stuff like play a Deshaun Watson, let's find out and stop with the nonsense.
In regards to the rumor of the Browns are shopping Shedeur,
the
way it was phrased was there were calls and ongoing discussions. We don't know if that's the Browns calling other teams, if other teams are calling the Browns, if other teams are calling the Browns, then it's Andrew Berry's job to answer the phone and at least hear him out. It'd be GM malpractice not to at least listen to what teams may or may not be offering if you want to believe it. And this is a team that just traded Myles Garrett. So it's not unfathomable to think that any player on their roster, 1 through 53, isn't attainable for the right price.
Who's really banging down the door for him at this point?
I agree. I don't necessarily believe that teams are making serious offers for Shedeur Sanders because of what you said. He's an unproven commodity.
Yeah.
B, if a team's offering a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick, I'd rather take the flyer on Shedeur Sanders and see what he has in 2026 because I think his upside is so much higher than your traditional 5th round pick. Andrew Berry is addicted to accumulating 3rd, 4th, and 5ths, so he could use them in future deals. I mean, the only thing
more 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
The only thing I can think of is, maybe he would even consider this. But I think when you look at this big picture, the Browns have a quarterback battle on their hands, right? It is Shedeur versus Deshaun. I don't think Dylan's involved, and I don't think Taylor Green's involved. Is a future mid-round 3, 4, 5, 6, more likely 5, 6, 7 pick, more valuable than the possibility of one of these guys, a.k.a. Shedeur, turning into a guy you can build around? I just don't see that value being worth flipping Shedeur. I don't think teams are necessarily calling. I don't know what they'd value him at. How many starting quarterback jobs are open right now?
No, there's
Arizona.
Nobody is trading for Shedeur Sanders to be a starter.
That's what I'm saying. So are you giving up a day 3 pick for a backup quarterback that you're not even sure what he is? I don't necessarily buy any of it. I just think we don't know if teams are calling and asking, if they're shopping. All of it's a giant cloud of unknown and uncertainty, and I just don't buy the fact that it makes any sense for Cleveland to trade Shedeur Sanders without figuring out what he is or what he isn't.
What do you want me to say? Come on. What do you want me to say? I said in January he should be gone. I would have got rid of him in the offseason. I don't think he's good enough to start, and he's too much.
How do you know? We don't know for sure, Jason.
Okay,
we don't know for sure.
Do you know for sure about Dylan Gabriel?
No.
Why do you want to get rid of him?
Because he stinks.
Well, how do you know for sure?
Shedeur Sanders is more talented.
How do you know? How do you know Dylan Gabriel?
You can see it. Just watch it. More talented. I'm not saying he's going to be any good. I'm just saying there's more talent there.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I've seen enough and I've heard enough. I don't think he's good enough to start for this team and win anything of substance over the course of the next however many years. And
what is the point of giving him away for nothing now?
What was the point in taking him?
I don't know. Maybe they think he has some talent that is untapped.
I don't think
he's not without talent. He's not without talent, and I think it's possible he could be.
If you remove all of the nonsense,
yes.
If you remove all of that,
yeah,
he's a backup in the NFL. I think he could be a backup in the NFL.
I think there's a chance he could be better. I'm not saying it's a good chance. I really don't think it's a good chance, but I'm not willing to say it's 0. So why would I not take that chance? What's the downside to playing him?
Because of all. Well, no. Listen, Listen, I've said for months.
He has been saying.
So
if you're going to make me choose between Deshaun and Shedeur,
exactly,
I would take Shedeur.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, in January, I said go. Get rid of all of them. Both of these guys need to go.
But now that they haven't done that, you don't have a better option. He's the only guy that there's any chance.
And I'm telling you, if you're going to make me pick between these two for this year, I would take Shedeur.
So that's what I'm saying. So just play him and find out. And let's know for sure that he's not going to be any good. Or maybe he'll surprise you.
Maybe he will.
It's been for me on him.
Would you agree that they know him and they know the situation better than any of us?
Yes.
Would you agree that they've spent now over a year with him?
Yeah. If they don't start him, they think he stinks.
And at that point, is it worth keeping him on the roster?
If you're not going to start him, no, I don't care. Then get rid of him, whatever. But I think it's stupid to do anything. I don't trust their evaluation.
But you're making my point.
They're a dumb organization.
God. I'm not going to say that.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm saying
if they look at this,
and they say no chance,
and they say, you know what?
Then why didn't they get rid of him already? Why didn't they cut him?
Well, great question. That's what I've been saying since January.
Yeah, well then maybe they don't feel that way. Maybe they don't think there's no chance.
Then
maybe
start
they're
him.
like me, and
then,
they think
then start
there's
him.
a chance. Then start him. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, if you got to make me choose between the two, I'm taking Shedeur. If they start Deshaun, what's the point in keeping him?
Deshaun is an absolute bum. He is a garbage football player. And I don't ever want to see him play in the league again. I don't want to see him play for the Browns or anybody else.
Well, you watch if he's a starting quarterback for the Browns in week 1.
Of course, it's football. I have to watch.
You're the one that told me you'd sign him to an extension 2 months ago. What's changed in 2 months?
Jason, listen, what I said was, and maybe it was a stupid thing to say, was that this is exactly what I said. I said I'm pretty sure this is exactly what I said. I said I think there's a 1% chance he could turn his career around. And if by some chance that 1% hits and he's great again, then I would be open to considering it.
Now he's a bum. I don't really want to see him play again.
Because
what's changed from April to June?
Went to 0%.
I was even with him, 1% was not realistic. It's been too many years. He's never been any good. Shedeur Sanders has had one opportunity. under circumstances that most quarterbacks would have. Now, Shedeur did not play well.
No.
To argue anything else is stupid. However, there are very few quarterbacks that could have played well, and probably almost no rookie quarterbacks that could have played well under the circumstances, if we're fair about it.
That's true.
So I'd
True.
rather see, again, everybody knows I'm not a true believer in Shedeur Sanders. However, part of the reason I want to see him is because I'm being introspective and thinking, is part of the reason I don't want to believe in Shedeur Sanders that, like Tim Tebow, and I proved to be right with Tim Tebow, but like Tim Tebow, I was so annoyed by his fans that it clouded my judgment of giving the guy a chance. And that's why I want to see him get an opportunity. And if I thought there was somebody more worthy of an opportunity here, then I wouldn't feel that way, but there isn't.
And he also did show flashes. And I understand that the big picture, if you want to say he didn't play well, I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah.
Like, big picture, I don't think Shedeur played that well.
There's no debate he didn't play.
But there were flashes within the 7-game stretch where you looked at it and said,
not many.
But there were actual flashes where you could point to and say,
I think you could say it was almost.
Would you like me to pull up the Deshaun Kaiser highlight video of the year they didn't win the game?
I understand, but for even stretches of games, like there were parts, whether it was parts of the Tennessee game, which had the inexcusable interception in the middle of it, which separated a really good stretch, terrible interception, really good stretch. Parts of the San Francisco game early, he came out, looked good. I'm not saying that it's enough to like build a statue and say, I saw enough that he's our franchise quarterback, but I think enough of the flashes compared to what you know you have in Deshaun Watson, what you think you may or may not have in Dylan Gabriel, and the complete mold of block of clay that Taylor Green is, there were enough flashes to say, I at least want to see more what he can do with an offseason and better weapons around him.
I don't think there were enough flashes, but I just think he was put into such a bad situation, and that I'm willing to. I think there's enough talent that I'm like, okay, let's see what he can be.
So you just said you didn't think there was enough flashes.
I still believe.
Don't you think it's worth? And I think you are saying this. I think we're just kind of using different words. Terrible circumstance last year.
Yeah.
Not enough flashes, but some flashes. With a better supporting system around him, an improved offensive line.
Right.
Possibly a better offensive play caller, an offensive system to fit what he does.
I'll give it a chance.
A better receiving core. It's worth seeing a chance.
That's it. And if you ask me if I'm betting on him, I'm going to tell you no. But if I'm asked, I wouldn't, to me, there's a 0% chance with the other guys. And whatever percent chance you think with him, it's more than 0. So let's see it. And if my guess is we'll be drafting a quarterback next year. But I'm not going to win this year no matter what I do. Let's see him play.
I don't disagree with anything you guys said.
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to get twisted and clipped and whatever else. If you're making me pick between Deshaun and Shedeur, I will pick Shedeur. Yeah. I've been consistent on that.
Yes, you have.
For months. Yep. It's Shedeur every time. If they choose Deshaun, what are they telling you about Shedeur, and what's the point in keeping him around? That's all I'm saying.
At that point, yes, you're right, at that point. But I'm guessing they're not at that point. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they would have named Deshaun Watson the starter.
Well, regardless of
Had Deshaun Watson been named the starter already, I'd be like, yeah, you might as well trade Shedeur for whatever you can get.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
And I may be throwing a grenade, and I'm not intentionally doing this. I'm being serious.
You are.
With the Sorsby situation, if they have to make room for a quarterback, if they're planning on placing a high bid on Sorsby, I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they will. I'm just asking the question. If their intention is to place a high bid on Sorsby, maybe higher than what the league is expecting, and they want to bring him in, and they have to get rid of a quarterback in that sense, Shedeur probably has the most trade value of any of them.
I don't think he has any trade value.
But it'd be the most of anybody.
I don't think.
Do you think there's any chance that those two things could be connected?
No.
Okay. I'm not saying they were. I don't
think they're in on Sorsby.
I was just asking the question.
My gut feeling is they're not going to pick him. They're not going to put it in.
I was just asking the question.
I'm curious to see what the final roster, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm curious to see what the final roster looks like in September, because it feels to me like they're trying to change the culture in a number of different ways, and I'm curious to see who's still here in September. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of these 4 quarterbacks is going to be gone. We know that. They're not keeping all 4.
I would agree with that.
So we'll see. And Green's not going to be gone probably, I wouldn't think. But although he's not a quarterback. My man Sean King says he's not even a quarterback. So
they need someone to run QB sneaks. As dumb as that sounds,
you don't really keep a guy on a team to run quarterback sneaks.
You do if your first 2 quarterbacks don't do it.
Or find a tight end to do it. Harrison Bryant.
I mean, true.
What team has a quarterback that just does sneaks and doesn't do anything else?
Jacoby Brissett for half his career was that guy.
No, he wasn't. He was a legit backup quarterback.
Do you know he's holding out in Arizona right now?
Good for him. They want him to be a starter. Pay him like a starter.
It's just
pay him like a lower tier starter.
He is. I think this is the funniest. Funny may not be the right word. Player versus expectation of where you're at.
Yeah.
Who would hold out? Who wouldn't? The fact that Jacoby Brissett is holding out in Arizona.
He won't hold up.
The situation is hysterical.